I ask for the truth on behalf of Angela de Castro concerning financial issues. Are things going to get better? Seems as if things have been a bit rough just recently. I ask this in the name of truth, right conduct, peace, love and non-violence. Blessed be to the truth always. We just cut the deck for you there, Sam. I nearly said Sandra again. Got Sandra on the brain. Sorry there, Angela. It's just the time I've been getting up in the morning. I will just place the cards there to the side for you there, Angela, and we'll see what's been going on for you. I'm going to deal out 3 cards here. The first card is for the recent past. This is about a moon phase behind, 3 or 4 weeks or so ago. The next card is the present, and then of course the immediate future, which is a moon phase ahead, or you could say 3 or 4 weeks or so into the future there for you. Now, of course, with this being a question about finances and will my financial situation get better or whatever, you do have to just be reminded that I'm not offering professional financial advice. I am not a professional financial advisor. The only financial advice I would give is what you've got, don't tell anybody about it, and say as little as possible and spend as little as possible, and which is something that I don't tend to do very well, but if you can do any better, then let me know how you do it. So that's about as good as professional financial advice gets from here. Let's establish, though, from this situation, this material sort of earthly situation you were in, let's just flip the first card there. Knowing you got the shield and the treasury there is just pointing toward really protection of some kind. The fact that you were safe from harm. My grandma always used to say, it doesn't matter about money because you won't die. Whatever happens to you, you won't die. And I suppose in a way, in this particular case, she was right for you, in the sense you were protected in some way, shape or form. Regardless of having financial difficulties. Are you dead yet? Are we having to use the Ouija board or mediumship cards to talk to you yet? Or are you here alive and wellish, although stressed out maybe about the financial situation? I think the latter may be the case. So in a way, you are protected from harm. I notice here, I always tend to focus on the wings on the shield there, as if he's sort of pointing towards some sort of guardian angel or something like that. An angel, of course, is a messenger, and the wings symbolise the movement of messages. And maybe you have received a message of some kind which has led to some form of protection just lately. I want to see what's going on right now, though. I want to just see what vibrates right now. The mystic circle, just indicating really that your abilities have been enhanced in some way. Maybe through what you've been going through, as you would say. Maybe by what you've been going through, you've sort of become a bit more savvy. I suppose sort of abilities being enhanced in this particular scenario, more from the treasury there, the shield, and now the mystic circle, just indicating really that it's savvy, isn't it, in the case of being streetwise, and that sort of, you become aware of things that you probably wouldn't have become aware of normally, but you've had to do, you've been forced into that situation. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Maybe, of course, in essence, yes, it is negative, the fact that it's happening, but is it a good thing in the sense that learning the hard way might be the best way to learn? I want to see what happens though in your immediate future. The Knight there. The Knight. No, it isn't the Knight at all. I've got my reading glasses not close enough. It's actually the Minstrel. So I got that wrong. I'm getting names wrong and cards wrong now. Because my reading glasses, I blame my reading glasses for this. Oh, it's because I'm not close enough to it. There you've got the Minstrel. You knew it wasn't going to be that good, didn't you? But nevertheless, I don't know. This is sort of advice, isn't it? The Minstrel, of course, sings a song. And the song that he sings, of course, doesn't necessarily have to be true, does it? It's just a song like I love you, or I've not got enough money, or I'm rich as hell when I'm not. But it's just a song. And in this case, it seems as though, although you were protected just recently and you've gained some street cred or streetwise, you've become more savvy to what's been going on. You lived and learned, I suppose you could say. Well, you live and learn, don't you? I suppose you've probably said that to you over the past few days or so. Nevertheless, with this financial situation, the Minstrel is just there indicating that you should let your intentions be known. Whatever it is you want out of this. People say, well, if you're in a situation, what do you want from this problem that you've got? What do you want from it? Some people say justice, other people say, well, I just want it come to an end, closure, or whatever. So you've got to really let them know, maybe the financiers, if you're in debt with somebody, then let them know what you intend to do. Well, I intend to pay so much off a week because I'm not capable of paying off more or less or whatever. But although you may have agreed to one thing, maybe you let your intentions be known in the sense of, well, I actually intend to pay a bit less than that because I can't afford what we agreed to. And if you agree to something that you can't adhere to, then who ends up looking the idiot? But of course, usually, if it's a matter of debt, the people you're indebted to will try and be reasonable because they want their money back as well, if you get what I mean. And by being nasty with people isn't really going to get their money back. Yes, I suppose banks are insured for fraud and things like that, but if it's a genuine case where you just owe money, then of course everybody's going to try and be reasonable at the end of the day because that's the best way. I suppose it's blessed are the peacemakers, and you know that, you've learnt that, and maybe you've got the ability maybe to be more reasonable now because you know more about the situation now than you did before. Before you were just being protected by your guardian angel, but now, of course, you're picking up skills which are helping you in a situation. If you end up in this situation again, you will be stronger for next time. Because you have to remember, nothing is permanent. This too shall pass. And if you're going through hard times, of course, this too shall pass. But you don't take the good times for granted, because that too shall pass too. Nothing is permanent. It's the demon of impermanence turning the wheel of life, and we all have to live, we all have to die, and we all have to... Birth and death are part of the same thing, and it's the same sort of thing here. Sort of riches and poverty are all... How would you know who the poor were if you didn't know who the rich were? How would you know what riches were if you didn't know what poverty was? How would you know what debt was if you didn't know what being in the black was, as you would say? How would you know what red was if you didn't know what black was? It's the same sort of thing. You know what black is, you don't know what white is. This, that and the other. And it's about contrast at the end of the day. And you're learning that contrast, but just let them know what you want to do from this. Don't just agree to anything thinking, well, I'll just have to do it, because if you're not capable of doing that, then you look the bigger idiot, and then you will be punished, and rightfully so. But of course, if you know what you want from this, you can probably try and persuade them, say, well, I want this, I want to pay less over a longer period of time, but I can pay it off if... I'll show you how, I'll even show you how, because I've even learned how, I've even worked it all out, but you've got to work with me. And they will work with you, if they've got any common sense about them, any decency about them, because as I said before, they want their money back as much as you do. So that's the case. If it's just a simple case of not enough income coming in, and we just can't get by because we're spending more than coming in or whatever, then of course you've got to let people know what you intend to do. I intend to go to that other shop that's cheaper, that sells bread cheaper. I'm not being fobbed off. I'm not trying to get myself a bad reputation because I shop in a shop where paupers shop. Because I shop in the cheapest places actually. A new shop's just opened up over here a couple of years ago. 2 or 3 years ago, and they're cheaper than the one on the corner that was actually hiring the property out. That this new shop has now opened, and they were doing it deliberately to stop anybody getting in, so we were all sort of enslaved and paying more. But of course the landlord refused their lease, and we're all now everybody now shops where it's cheaper, and rightfully so. And in this sort of case, you let your intentions be known. Well, of course, in my case, well, not my case, but in the case locally here, it was just they weren't maintaining the property, and everything was going to rack and ruin. And a landlord can't make money out of a property that's derelict. So when the new shopkeeper came in, of course, he was maintaining all the plugs and keeping everywhere clean, and that was it. And that's what it's all about. The other shop that was doing the nasty business just said that's business. But is it business, or is it just unscrupulous behaviour? In this case, yes, it's one thing to point out to them maybe that they're being unreasonable. But if you just say what you intend to do, what you want from this, and what you want to do, yes, they can say we want our money back if it's a debt thing. But you can say, well, I want to do this, and that's how I want to pay it back. That's how I intend to pay it back. I do intend to pay it back. I want to pay it back because I don't want to be in debt for the rest of my life. But of course, if it's a case of just not being able to afford, in the sense of more going out than coming in, then I intend to shop elsewhere. I don't intend to spend, not so much spend as much, but just spend as much as I am doing when I can get it cheaper somewhere else. So maybe just shopping around a bit, you can get something half the price. It's all down to that, isn't it? That's not professional financial advice, is it? That's just common sense, and I'm sure you're not that daft that you don't know that. But certainly your abilities have been enhanced just right now that would indicate in some department that you have learnt a valuable lesson just right now, actually. Maybe because the energy that was protecting you just recently, also they went through a hard time, and maybe it was somebody who was trying to bail you out because they said, well, I've been through a hard time similar to what you've been through, do it this way, do it that way. Oh, right, I've learnt off them. And so let them know, just let them know what you want though. That's all you've got to do, is let them know what you want, Angela. I've remembered your name. So there you go. Not bad for just gone 10:30 in the morning. So with that, these cards have spoken.